new faces today for the first time meetings of this whole year. Thank you so much. Suresh Chand Jain, thank you for being today for our meeting. Pradeep Sureka, also our new member. He came first for the installation and then now. Thank you so much. Friends, on the 10th of October, the World Sight Day, our project for conducting free eye checkups and free cataract surgeries was commenced at the Municipal Eye Hospital, Baikur. We set ourselves a sky-high target of doing 10,000 free checkups and 1,000 free eye cataract surgeries. Today, I am pleased to inform you that we have crossed a phenomenal figure of 12,776 free eye checkups and 462 cataract surgeries. Looking at the phenomenal success of this program, I shot off my mouth that we shall do unlimited number of eye checkups and cataract surgeries. Without thinking about the funding, I never think about it, it comes. So with a prayer on my lips, I approach our Rotarian Kashi Babu, requesting if he could support this program. As earlier he had also contributed 25,000 for this program. And lo, he calls me day before and says, Pankaj, paisa nahi chahiye kya? ये लाख रुपए का चेक तुम्हारा तैयार है. So please, thank you, Kashi Babu. So we are continuing to collect money, our kitty is continuing to grow, and we are continuing to do big projects. Friends, I once again humbly remind all that we shall be meeting on the 26th April, Saturday at 11 AM for the inauguration of a Rotary Club of Bombay Peninsula Physiotherapy Center at the National Burn Center, Airoli. District Governor Lata Subraidu has consented to be the chief guest. We shall also be unveiling our plaque displaying names of all our donors who have contributed rupees 1 lakh and above. So my humble request to all members and spouses to do come along with your family for our first mega project of this year. And in lieu of this above, our meeting for the 24th stands cancelled, and also being a holiday due to voting. President-elect is not here, so I don't have much announcement for him, except I wanted him to say a few words on his experience at the District Training Assembly. I request Umang, please introduce our guest speaker for today, Dimple Tawani. Thank you, Umang.
Thank you, Pankaj. It's my pleasure to introduce to you Dimple. Dimple is a licensed marriage, family and child therapist in California and also an astrologer from several years, both Vedic and Western. From childhood, she has had a keen interest in astrology, psychology and integrating these and other healing modalities. As a therapist, she has worked with people with a wide range of emotional and mental concerns across all ages and cultures. Her keen interest in astrology began from childhood, and she undertook the study of this subject via reading numerous books and researching with various astrological charts. She further obtained training in it from a Vedic college in US. She has pursued both these fields of study over several years, now with earnestness and having a mind that likes to correlate and integrate. Found that together they offer assessment and therapeutic tools that give both deep insight to the individual about themselves and their life path, as well as life skills and emotional intelligence to be able to live out their lives and relationships fully with awareness, confidence and meaning. Her topic, astrotherapy, combining psychology and Vedic plus Western astrology and using them as a guide map to having better relationships. With this, I present to you Dimple, who will talk to us more about her subject. Thank you.
No, I think it was good to hear you. We are also listeners. Where were you? Where were you coming from? Maybe speak from the front, you can speak from there. Where were you? Would you like to sit there, speak? Yeah.
Good evening, everybody. Can you hear me?
A bit louder, please.
What?
A bit louder.
Loud. Better?
Yeah.
Okay. I'll be recording too, just in case quite a few of my friends want to hear also what I had to say. Okay, so as she had mentioned that I have been studying astrology since childhood. I have been initially studying on my own, and then when I went to US, I went to a Vedic college and learned more from them. What I have really liked about studying with the Americans is that they don't get into fear. You know, when you look at a Janam Patri and louder? Okay. So, you know, they don't get into fear. Here we have all these concepts of... I tend to move away because I think it's coming in my face. I can't see you all. Yeah, better? I can't hear myself now. Okay, so what I liked about US there is that Americans don't get into fear. Here we have in Janam Patri, oh ye manglik hai, oh ye ho raha hai, sari sati chal rahi hai. The fear comes into play, and it's actually nothing to be afraid of. These things are psychologically, they've got a meaning, and if we understand the psychology behind it and work with it, then it's for our benefit. It can actually be a good thing. I think the volume is fine. I guess maybe I have to hold it very near to myself. Okay, so this is where I studied there. They helped me understand the psychology of the various concepts. I've also studied Vedic Astrology here, so I integrated. And then being a therapist also, I'm a marriage, family and child therapist in California. So when I studied therapy, this happened later. I started astrology from when I was a teenager. So I integrated, like whenever somebody's going through depression or anxiety, anything, I integrated what it shows in the horoscope, why they are having that. So this is, I present you a little bit of what I have understood. There are some books, very few books on it, because normally in US this is considered voodoo if you're an astrologer. It's like not very professional. And here people believe in astrology, but then they don't understand. The ones who are into astrology don't understand the psychology of it. They just understand, okay, this is the okay, ye manglik hai, yes, I have said. Just basics done, and they don't really get into the psychology of it. So my journey is about integrating these two. It's a very rich subject, and I have only 30 minutes. This is a long subject. I'm just going to touch on some very basics, just to give you an idea that these two go together. And how many of you have heard of Carl Jung, a very famous psychologist, Carl Jung? So he used to do mandalas. This is actually an astrological concept also. He was a psychologist who used to use astrology. And he had said something to the effect of that the fact that astrology and psychology go hand in hand is not a question anymore. For me, it's about how they go hand in hand, the journey of that. So with that, I'll begin, and I'll be going back and forth between Vedic and Western. Because some of my concepts are Vedic and some of are Western. I may not be always able to tell you which one is what, but just know that they go hand in hand. So what I'm talking on is astrotherapy. So we have psychotherapy, and here I'm integrating astrology into psychology, so we call it astrotherapy. Some of the concepts I want to present is that planets are bodies of energy. They are just basically energies. We are also made up of energy. So when we are born, it's these energy bodies that are affecting us in a unique way that makes us into a specific, unique individual. Nobody is quite like us. So that is the concept in astrology. Very quickly, I'll take you through what a Janam Kundli is. So in astrology, how many of y'all have seen a Janam Kundli? So North style or West, North Indian style or South Indian style? Both. Okay, so it's a lot of boxes and all of that. We put it down on paper, but it's actually not anything on paper. It's actually you as a person. It's your own DNA that has been drawn like that to show you where the planets are. But they all have a first house, which is called the Lagna. So Lagna is basically when we are born, what sign is rising in the horizon. Where the sun rises in the horizon in the east, or all planets are rising, all signs are rising there. So which sign is rising at that moment when we are born? That's called your Lagna, that sign. This sign describes your external personality. How you look, how you present yourself, how people see you, your likes and dislikes somewhat, kind of like the sun sign, very similar to concept of sun sign. So that's your Lagna. We have 12 houses in the Janam Kundli. So first house is the Lagna. It's like a child that is born. And that is your own self, as I said, being essential. Moving on, I'm taking you very quickly through because I have to touch on a lot of topics, but actually each of this is very in-depth by itself. So then we have the second house. Second house is after the bacha is grown up a little bit, he starts to learn to walk. His immediate surroundings, his immediate family members, that is the second house. I'm showing you in a psychological concept. There are many ways to see this. All these 12 houses also represent body parts in medical astrology. They will have many different explanations of what they mean, but I'm taking you through a psychological journey. So the second house is your immediate surroundings, your immediate resources, what you can gather around you, learning to speak, so it also rules the house of speech. Moving on, then we have the third house. So when the child grows up a little bit more, the child discovers siblings. Right after immediate family and speech and all comes brothers and sisters, and also the art of writing, reading. That's what the child starts to do. So that is the third house. The child has little interests. So that's all third house. Little bit more older and the child goes to school. So fourth house rules education. It rules many other things also. In like finances, it will rule fixed assets, cars, all of that. In relationships, it will rule something else. So, but this is like the individual's journey. So you go to school, you come home. Fourth house is also the home. You attach to your mom, you wait for your mom to like give you food and all of that. So it's nurturing. So fourth house is nurturing. Then after you have got this basic education, moving on, you develop in your intelligence. So also these houses relate with psychological concepts of your maturity, in your intelligence level. So when we have reached the fifth house, by that time our intelligence, our buddhi has become concrete. So fifth house is formal intelligence, how you think. You've by that time finished your education and you've become an adult, teenager mostly. That would be the nature of the fifth house. It's also the time where you start new initiatives, you get into maybe romance, you discover the opposite sex. So fifth house also rules romance. Also people get very creative. They have by that time learned what they have to learn, and now they put two and two together and they come up with creative projects. So fifth house is also creativity. Then moving on, the sixth house. So sixth house is sustaining whatever you started in the fifth house. So when you plant something, Bodhiko, when you plant, the seed has been planted, that was your creative moment. After that, you have to water it every day, make sure it gets the right amount of sunshine, shade. So it's a daily effort to get a project going. So that is the sixth house. It's keeping on maintaining whatever you started in your fifth house. Even in relationships, if you get into romance stage gets over after whatever long time. Then comes a challenging aspect in relationships wherein some conflicts come in. You have your first fight, and then you don't know how to deal with that. So that takes effort. The fun part, all the good stuff of the fifth house is past now. So sixth house also rules conflict. It also rules enemies. Not just outside enemies, your inner enemies also. Your own anger, jealousy, greed, whatever. All of this is the sixth house. Based on whichever planet is sitting over there, that is the planet you would be challenged to learn about in this life. So that is learning how to handle conflicts and maintain something. Now when you've done this daily work, if anybody has gone through a conflict successfully, you would relate to what I'm saying, that it actually is a good thing. It brings out something beautiful. Before you did not know something about the person, but if you've successfully dealt with a conflict, you come out being richer as a person. You understand yourself better, something about the person better, you mature from the experience, and your relationship becomes more solid, more dependable, more respectful, more real. Some of the fantasy aspect is gone, but nonetheless there is something very tangible there. So that is the 7th house. It's a house of a committed relationship after the struggle of the 6th house. So that 7th house is a house of partnerships, all kinds of partnerships which complete us. Now in the 12 houses, which I said in Jaram Kundli there are 12 houses, it's 6 and 6. So 7th house is exactly opposite where we started from, the 1st house. So first house was a self, and the 7th house is our partner. The one exactly opposite to us, the one who completes us. Completes us, or I would say the one who mirrors us. So there's a whole concept in psychology is also that we draw to ourselves exactly those partners that we need for our own growth. So that is shown in the 7th house. So after that, moving on, even though we've put in the effort and we've had some conflicts and dealt with them, even then marriages go through changes. They go through rough times. So 8th house is where your Mangalya Sthan, this is a Vedic concept now, and actually Vedic and Western are not too different. There is some difference in how they calculate where the planets are placed, and Vedic has 9 planets, where Western takes into account the outer planets also, Uranus, Neptune, Pluto, which sometimes Vedic astrologers also do. Then Vedic has the concept of this Dasha system, कौन सी दशा चल रही है, which Westerners don't have, but they have their own stuff. But इतना फर्क नहीं है उन दोनों में. Ultimately, they are talking quite same things. So 8th house is very important in both Western and Vedic astrologers call this as Mangalya Sthana. And if you have a planet that is very challenging, like Mars or Saturn, Mangal or Shani sitting in the 8th house, that's what they say ki there could be challenges in marriage. There are reasons why this happens. So 8th house is the house of the hidden. It's the subconscious. So when a marriage is progressing, there are deeper aspects of our own personality that come up in the marriage. Sometimes on the surface something else is happening and something else is happening underneath. 8th house is that hidden part of ourselves that we also don't know. And these things start to come up. So if, let's say, Mars, which is the planet of anger, is sitting in the 8th house, then there are deeper aspects on our personality related to anger. Maybe in childhood, we had some experiences which we were not able to resolve. Now, 8th house is exactly opposite the 2nd house also, which I said earlier, when after we have taken birth, 2nd house is when we start to learn how to walk. It's our immediate family surroundings when we're very small. So if Mars is aspecting that house, means that in childhood there were some experiences about anger which we could not integrate into our psyche. And this starts to then play out with the partner. This is all very interrelated. And the way it plays out is not on the conscious level. We're not even aware of this. So which is why I'm going to say something which I don't know how many of you all know this, that we say that Mangalic people are bad or whatever. They say that, you know, they have their own, the partners die or this and that, this concept. Mangal is basically energy. It's a lot of heat and anger and assertiveness. So people who are Mangalic are people who are Mangalic who have Mangal either in the 4th house, which is the house of the hidden self also, nurturing that part of us. 8th house, 12th house, 1st house. There are some of these houses where Mars is placed, it says a person is Mangalic. I'm going to just touch on the 8th house just for an example in the psychology how this happens. So 8th house is the house of the subconscious. So if a person has some anger related with some past life in their psyche, their mental makeup, and they're unaware of it, and sometimes when the partner that we attract, the partner will behave in some ways that should make us angry so that we can deal with it. If we psychologically understand this, how many of you are following the concept what I'm saying? I'm talking a little bit deep psychology. So if the partner is able to bring this out in us, and we are able to deal with it, then it's no longer a problem. It doesn't matter if you're Mangalic. This is why they say Mangalic should marry Mangalic, because those two people can understand each other and they have equal level of energy. Like ek teer and dusra teer, yahan se they can hit each other. It doesn't crisscross. They meet. It's like you've met your match. This is why they say you have to have that level. Nobody is bad, actually. It's just that that person's actually very powerful, and that person needs something resolved in themselves. But if you're not aware of this concept, that you have this dynamic energy inside yourself, very dynamic energy, then when you're repressing it, you tend to attract this on the outside. And then Manglic people can even meet with accidents. Or their partners die. Also, if your Mangal is very strong. This is, it happens, so external events happen when we have on an internal level not integrated what the message of the planets is. And this is why I'm bringing this topic to you, that astrology and psychology, it is about time that astrology starts to play a very deeper role, including integrating psychology into it, is whenever there is a particular energy in our chart, when we become aware of it and we start working on it, then it no longer impacts us the same way. Things impact us only when we are unaware of it. So as soon as something becomes conscious, if you become aware, okay, when I aise hota hai, to main aise karti hu, then you will not do it the same way the next time. You will find a different way. So this is the way healing also happens. So this is basically like the example of the 8th house. 8th house is so essential, the house of transformation. So after you had a committed relationship in the 7th house, 8th house makes you go through the Mangalya Sthana, which is whether your marriage will stay happy or not, and how much ability you have to transform. Transform is literally go through being from a caterpillar to a butterfly. And if you're not able to transform, then the 8th house is also the house of death. And this is all depends on how deep you can go into your own psychology. And which is also why 8th house is the house of psychology. People who have planets over there become astrologers, they become psychologists, because they have from childhood an understanding of depth, naturally. Okay, then so moving on, after we have learned to transform ourselves and go deep into our own psychology, then comes the 9th house. 9th house is the house of higher philosophy, higher education, Gyan, spirituality. This is where we go into the Vedas or any other higher spiritual science, and we want to study and understand the meaning of life. So this is the 9th house energy. We travel also, sometimes, and it doesn't have to be literally travel throughout the world. It could be even travel within our own mind. It's basically about expanding your horizon, going beyond what you have known about your own self. The first part of the horoscope to the 7th was about yourself, and now you're going into the world outside. So this is 9th house. After you have learned what is the meaning of life, or at least you started pursuing that, you have something to give back to community. Because you cannot give back if you're only been focusing on your own growth. Only after you have learned something about your depth, your own psychology, and you have learned something about Jnanam, you can give back to people. So 10th house is the house of dharma, or career, or public. Right now what I'm doing, this is a very 10th house thing. I've been called to speak in public. So this is a 10th house matter. When you have some planets sitting over there, it gives you that honor and status, and it calls you into the public life to give to people something that you own, which you can help them with. So that is our dharma in a very broad sense. It also says it's our career path. So then that's the 10th house. After we have worked in our career, we get some gains from it, we get income from it, we get recognition from it, we make some friends in our job place. So 11th house is a house of the social life, friends, gains, your money that you're making from it. That's your 11th house. Then after all of this, there's pretty much nothing left to do. The last house that comes is the 12th house, which is the house of endings. It's a house of loss, separation, or going into very higher exalted spiritual states. It's the dream state also. Even this is the house where if a person has Mangal, for example, the person will be Manglic, because 12th house is the house of the total unconscious. 4th house was the subconscious, 4th house was hidden self, 8th house is the subconscious, and the 12th house is the unconscious. You have no awareness of that about yourself. So if there's any planet sitting over there, you will have no idea that that is there in part of your psychology. So it's why it becomes even more dangerous, because it's in your blind spot. So this is an overview of the 12 houses. The 12th house completes itself. So first house से बच्चा पैदा हुआ, पूरी journey होके 12th house में it dissolves into the universal. Okay, so that is an essential a journey. Then signs होते हैं. I'm थोड़ा हमने आपको houses के बारे में बताया. Now I'll tell you about the signs. So signs are from Aries to Pisces. There are 12 signs also. And I'll just tell you in one line that the way to quickly understand a sign is to correlate with the house that I have just mentioned. So Aries is the first sign. Aries will be a lot like the first house. They'll be focused on their own self because the first house is a house of self. And by the same token, Pisces being the last house, Pisces will be very equal to the 12th house, which will be the house of higher spirituality, merging with the whole world. Pisceans though are not very unconscious people. They can be, but they have the gift to go into their unconscious psyche and take out gems from there. So Pisces दो तरह के होते हैं. या तो they are very spiritual or they are completely in their own dream world, in fantasy world. Because 12th house is where we are facing the unconscious world. Okay, so they can go into drugs also. Because the 12th house is also the house of escapism. It's a house of endings and separations. It's very difficult. So whoever cannot deal with that energy, then they take it to something to escape that situation. And that's why all of these situations also happen. You know, when we have someone taking drugs or whatever, escaping their own energy. This is what is seen in the chart. And the way a psychologist helps them is to help them understand which are the hidden parts of their own self and how to integrate that. Okay, so this was about houses and signs. Now I'll tell you all quickly about the planets. So 9 planets first, because that's what Vedic takes. 9 planets being the first 7. So we start with Sun, because that's the first solar energy. Sun is, as you say, it's a bright ball of energy. It gives you light. Wherever it goes, it gives you sunshine. So horoscope में sun जहाँ भी बैठा होता है, whichever house में, that becomes very prominent. That house gets brightened up. That area of your life comes in full focus. So like I have sun sitting in the 10th house. So for me, the public life is very prominent. I will be called on to be in prominence. It's a part of my dharma to do that. If the sun was in the 8th house, for somebody, for example, that person could be having a lot of light into going into their own depth. That will be a benefit for them. They'll be able to go deep into psychology and astrology. So sun is basically the life force, the life power. It also is self-esteem, your own core, your own power, your soul power. So if somebody has a strong sun, then their self-esteem is very strong. And there are ways to calculate which planet is weak, which planet is strong. Okay, so it's also a source of joy because sun ko dekh ke we get very happy and a sunny day. Okay, so that's sun. Moving on to the moon. And this I'll talk on quite elaborately because moon is very important in both Vedic and Western. Somebody had also asked me about how moon sign, sun sign and moon sign are different. So sun is wherever you were born, that month where sun was placed, that is your sun sign. 1 mahine ke liye sun stays in the same sign. So for the whole month, the people born in that time frame share that personality with you. That doesn't make it very original. You do share that, but what makes you very unique is your moon sign. Moon stays in a sign for 2.5 days. So ये जो combinations हैं पूरे stars की, where the sun was where you were born, where the moon was, where other planets are, that's what makes you very unique. And moon is your mind, your manas. So just like sun is your soul, your spirit, which you can't see, moon is your mind, manas. It's the way you filter the world, the way you see the world, the way you gather information, the way you interpret information. If somebody says something to you, do you take it negatively or positively, or depends on the condition of the moon in your chart. So it's very important. So moon is like if you're wearing some pink color glasses, the whole world will look pink to you, no matter whatever is happening outside. So you are blessed if you have that kind of orientation. Moon matching hoti hai Vedic mein when you get married, and that's because the two mental makeup have to match to be able to understand each other. When the moon signs match, then even if there's conflict, you don't take each other so personally. If the moon sign matching is weak, then with those people, ek jhagde se, we don't want to see their faces again. Something just happens and say, I don't like this person. But if the moon matches, then you yourself say, okay, maybe the person didn't mean it that way, let me go and talk to the person. There's less ego around it also. So this is about the mental makeup, the moon. Moon is the symbol of our mother. in childhood, our nurturing, हमको कितना प्यार मिला, how comfortable we felt. Moon is also our attachment styles. So when we are born, we all form an attachment style. This is a psychological concept now I'm saying. There are various types of attachment styles. Anxious attachment style, avoidant attachment style, secure attachment style. So what kind of attachment style we will end up having will depend on the condition of the moon in our chart. So if moon is conjunct Mars, let's say, which I gave an example, Mars is a very fiery, energetic planet, then the person's mind is constantly energetic, very active. And they also perceive hurt very easily because they're very sharp with their senses. Mars is very sharp. I haven't told you about other planets, so I'll give you more examples later about if moon conjunct some other planet, what that would mean. So basically moon is your attachment style, your mother, your nurturing, and very important for you the way you perceive the world. And in psychology, it plays a very important role. Sadi Sakti is based around the concept of the moon also. So I'll touch that in just a bit. Moving on to other planets, Mercury. Mercury is the planet of speech, our cognitive intelligence, and the planet of speech, writing and reading. So that is very important in our development. And a very famous psychologist had integrated Mercury with Piaget's growing stages, operational stage, pre-operational stage, formal intelligence, all that, like what happens based on the position of the Mercury in the birth chart. So that is Mercury, about speech karak hota hai. And Venus is a planet of beauty, love, harmony, elegance. So it's a planet of love in one nutshell. So now for example, if I integrated, if somebody had moon conjunct Venus in their horoscope, this is the pink classes I was talking about, they will just see everybody in a very beautiful way. And you cannot easily also hurt them. You say something, they'll be like, oh, it's okay, no worries. Very sweet in their approach. Their mothers were also probably very sweet to them because moon, which is a karak of mother, is conjunct Venus. So bachpan se they have probably a very sweet upbringing. But if moon is conjunct sun, I gave that example of the sun earlier, then the person is very heated up because sun is a very hot planet. And that person, that means first of all the person was born on Amavasya because sun and moon are conjunct on Amavasya. The person is very hot in their tempers, unko jab gussa aata hai, so then they can't calm down for a long time. And ego, sun is the ego also karak, means ego is very high. So this is just another example. So that's Venus, planet of love. Mars, I have 5 minutes left. I have like 1 hour more to talk. I think I have to just read out, my goodness. Okay, so Mars is the planet of acting, assertion, dynamic energy, just said. Jupiter is a planet of moral development, expansion, intelligence, different kind of intelligence. Mercury is calculative intelligence, mathematical intelligence. Jupiter is wisdom. You know, like kab kya bolna chahiye, kitna bolna chahiye, that is the karak of Jupiter. So if moon is conjunct Jupiter, that person is very wise. Okay, Saturn, moving on to that. So Jupiter expands, it's very expansive. Saturn is the opposite. It restricts and it contracts, wherever it's placed. So Sadi Sakti hoti hai when Saturn is going around the moon, 2.5 years before the moon, uske sign ke pehle, फिर moon के ऊपर and moon के बाद. So Saturn is a planet of restrictions, and structure also, discipline also. So when Saturn is going around the moon, at that time, the person feels restricted and more disciplined and structured in their mind. They also feel depressed possibly, because Saturn is a planet of depression. If you have not lived your life in a way that Saturn would want you to, if you're not going on your path. So Saturn then brings about this certain depression, and you start to think, मैंने ज़िंदगी में क्या किया है, you know, ठीक किया है, and these kind of higher thoughts come into your mind. And Saturn sometimes externally even takes away your job or some relationship. You've heard of Sadi Sakti mein sab hota hai. Sometimes it does that because, again, like the concept I talked about, that externally हमारे साथ वो होता है which we have not integrated on an internal level. So if we have, while growing up, not understood Saturn's energy, and this is correlated with Erickson's stage of, there are 4 stages Erickson, the psychologist, who are talked about कि बचपन में as we are growing up, we have the stage of trust versus mistrust. Based on whatever happens to us बचपन में, we decide whether we trust the world or we mistrust the world. And there are three other stages. I do need to rush through that. But Saturn basically teaches you whether you're going to be in fear energy or you're going to be in trusting energy. Are you going to be responsible or are you going to be irresponsible? Are you going to be disciplined, undisciplined, structured, unstructured? So based on whatever you have learned about Saturn, all this exactly comes up in your Sadhisati. And whatever you experience is directly related to how you've lived your Saturn life. And if you've not lived it per Saturn's teaching, तो वो आपको रास्ते पे ले आता है. And at the end of the Sadhisati, it makes you go through so many changes, and by the end of it, you don't recognize yourself and you have turned into a different person. But pretty much everybody would say at the end of the Sadhisati that जो हुआ अच्छे के लिए हुआ. But at that time when they're going through it, when the structure is collapsing, they are very afraid. And that's why this also concept has come up to be dreaded. But it's actually it's a very good time to grow if you are connected with Saturn. And if you have been living Saturn's energy very well, if you've been disciplined, structured all your life, then in fact you get rewards at that time. Like Indira Gandhi had become a prime minister in her Saturn Dasha. Surely the movie was made by everybody making it, the director, producer, I believe actors, they all had Saturn rising. So they were so structured and disciplined people. Even Amitabh Bachchan has a Saturn rising. And movies like Steel, even till now, everyone talks about it. So this is like the energy of Saturn. Okay, so in a nutshell, I'm just taking you through Sun, the solar power, where it sheds light. Moon is your maternal instincts, nurturing, attachments. Mercury is your speech. Venus is the love energy. Jupiter is expansive energy and the wisdom energy. Saturn is the structure energy. These are the main 7 planets in Vedic astrology. How they correlate with each other, like let's say किसी का Venus Saturn के साथ में बैठा हुआ है, तो Saturn means structure, discipline. Venus is love. So they'll be very disciplined about love. They'll be very committed about love because Saturn's committed energy. They will not be the kinds to get into light flirtatious things. So this is the way you can read a person's chart. Like very just ऊपर ऊपर थोड़ा सा बता रही हूँ. So there are different aspects also in planets. Conjunctions होते हैं, oppositions होते हैं. Like हर planet एक दूसरे planet को देखता है, एक रिश्ता बनाता है. तो उनके बीच में क्या रिश्ता बन रहा है based on their psychology. That's how we read the person's nature. And this is not only just between with that person, but also between two people. So if I have a friend who has Venus at the same degree and the same sign as where my moon is, my mind, my manas, I will feel very good around that person because Venus is beauty and love and moon is my mind. So I'll feel very soft energy around that person. So this is how you also do the matchmaking, which is synastry. Okay, so then moving on to the 3 other planets of Western astrology, Uranus, Neptune and Pluto. So Saturn is structure and discipline. This is where Vedic ends it because Vedic says that we cannot see the outer planets with the naked eye, so we don't need to see them because that means that their rays are not reaching us, so it's not that important. And Western agrees, but what Western says is that Uranus, Neptune, Pluto are generational planets. They're not individual planets, they're generational planets. They affect an entire generation. So Uranus is basically the planet of revolution. Evolution and revolution in a nutshell. So people who have a very prominent Uranus in their chart, like if the moon is conjunct Uranus, they will always think about evolution and revolution. Okay, this is wrong, this structure is right, so government ko girao, ek nayi government banao. So they are, huh? No personal names or so. That's Uranus. And Saturn and Uranus, as you can see, are opposite. Saturn talks about structure and discipline, and Uranus says, "Tod ke naya banao, whatever is not working." So Saturn and Uranus are there in an individual's chart also, and we look at in psychology, how are they playing a role with the person's planets, like Sun and Moon, what aspects they're receiving from which planet. And this concept of teenager, this is a very important concept. This is when Saturn, so when you're born, let's say Saturn is sitting in Taurus in your horoscope. When Saturn is gone a full 180 degrees and it reaches Scorpio, it's opposite the exact Saturn where it was when you were born. So this is called opposition. It's in opposition to your natal Saturn. And this brings about a lot of conflict inside of you about structures. Is the structure working for me? Should I be doing this? And this happens when a person's a teenager. So this concept of teenagers came about from this. And not just Saturn is opposite, even Uranus is making a certain degree angle to their natal Uranus. So the person is in conflict between structure and freedom. Uranus is freedom, okay, and Saturn is commitments. So kitni commitment karu, kitna freedom chahiye mujhe, that conflict goes about. So it helps a person understand their psychology, this dance of Uranus and Saturn. The other time this dance becomes very important is when we have the midlife crisis. That time also Saturn comes around fully again, pura ghoom ke wapis, and it goes in opposition again when we are about 43, 44, 45, and so that is called the midlife crisis, because that time Uranus is also opposite the natal Uranus. I'm not sure how much you're following because I'm throwing in a lot of concepts here in a nutshell of half an hour. But whatever you can take from here, whatever is meant to be taken. So this is the midlife crisis thing. Saturn Uranus ka dance maine bataya. Now the last concept that's left is Neptune and Pluto. Neptune is the planet of light. It's the planet of the angels, the fantasy life. It's very beautiful and it makes artists and creative people very, divine order kind of. And Pluto is the planet of dark. It's very intense and dark, death and regeneration. It's kind of got the Kali energy. So light and dark are also in a dance. And essentially we have to integrate. There is no such thing as bad energy in the dark. Every dark energy also has a purpose. That's what they talk about in psychology. And it's about them both coming into the light and us integrating them. So this is a dance of Neptune and Pluto, and they teach you about the whole generations go through darkness or light based on what aspects they're creating. Times like the Holocaust and all of that, when a very challenging situation the whole world has faced, that time Pluto has played a very important role. That's why this has happened. Okay, this is about the planets in a nutshell. Now, I said about there are 9 planets in Vedic, but I said 7 and then I moved on to Uranus, Neptune, Pluto. The other 2 are Rahu and Ketu. This is North Node and South Node. In Western astrology is called. These are not planets per se, these are just points in the ecliptic where the sun and moon are traveling, and eclipses happen around when they come together or when they are in opposition, solar or lunar eclipse. Rahu and Ketu are basically always opposite each other. They are called the head of the dragon and the tail of the dragon. Ketu is a planet which shows where we have been in our past life. And Rahu is a planet that shows where we have to go in our this life and future life. I'm again speaking very, very fast. It's बहुत depth में है ये psychology. But in a sense, I'm also integrating with relationship because the topic is relationship. So if our Ketu is conjunct with anybody's Venus, let's say, Venus is a planet of love and Ketu is a planet of past life. If Venus and Ketu are conjunct, that means that person is potentially a past life lover. And if somebody's Rahu gets conjunct with somebody's Venus, that means this person will play an important life in this or in a future life, most likely this life, but will play an important role in the development of love qualities. It doesn't have to be a lover, like physically, but basically the person will play a very important role in teaching us about love. So this is how the synastry of Rahu Ketu works. And Rahu Ketu, what they mean in your chart is this Pichla Janam and Aage Ka Janam. And then you see also where they are sitting and what you have come to learn. So let's say if someone's horoscope, first house has got Ketu and 7th house has Rahu, because they're always opposite each other, so hamesha opposite rahenge. So first house is the house of yourself. And Ketu matlab past life in self. Matlab पिछले जन्म में you were very self-indulgent. सिर्फ अपने लिए किया जो किया, बहुत कुछ अपने लिए किया. So now in this life you have to focus on the 7th house, which is your partner. You have to give some energy to your partnerships. उल्टा होगा. If Ketu is in the 7th, means you have been too partnership focused in your previous life. In this life, you have to be focusing on your own self-growth. So this is how the astrology of the self and again the partnership goes. Then Dasha concept, I think you might be knowing also. Yeah, Dashas are time frames. This is a Vedic concept. So let's say Janapatri mein सब planets बैठे हुए हैं, and each one has a psychology to it. But the psychology does not get activated all the time. It's there as an undercurrent, but which time frame you are running, that is what brings out a particular theme in your chart into prominence. So if let's say you have this Ketu in the first house, you will always be probably not so focused on your own self, more focused on your partner because you have Ketu in the first. But especially जब Ketu की दशा आएगी, that time you will start to realize also कि I have probably done too much for myself from some life or something. This kind of thoughts will start to come. And Ketu in the first can also bring a lot of self-doubt. So the person will become doubtful and just start to give a lot of energy to the other person. So this is just an example of Dasha ka concepts kya hota hai. That's why everything is very well timed. It's all about a sequence of events and probability and the psychology of the person combined together. This is how the chart works. Okay, so I've talked about quite a few things. But I have more to talk about. Yes, I'll tell you about. I have 2 more minutes, 2-3 more minutes.
There would be a question.
Yeah, I'll just complete 2-3 more nice concepts in like literally one line each. There's also a concept. Now I'll tell you a little bit about spiritual astrology. There's also a concept called Atma Karaka and Amatya Karaka. This is from a sage called Vedic Astrology. It's important, that's why I'm touching it. Everybody has a planet called the Atma Karaka in their horoscope, which is their soul indicator, and it teaches the lessons why you have been born. So if somebody's Atma Karaka is Venus, again for example, the person has come to learn the lessons of love. Maybe they're not loving enough and they need to learn to love, or maybe they are too self-indulgent, because Venus is also the planet of indulgence. So they have to learn to cut down on that. If somebody has Atma Karaka as Mercury, Mercury being the planet of speech, so maybe they have to learn to speak properly. Maybe they say the wrong things which hurt people, and it's about learning to be moderate in speech. So this is the concept of Atma Karaka, and ये तब focus में आता है जब उसकी दशा आती है prominence में, which I said the concept of dashas. Then also I'll touch on a concept called retrogression. How many of you heard of this thing when Mercury is retrograde? People get a little scared. They don't, Mercury retrogression. Nahi suna hai? You've heard of Mercury retrogression. Yeah, this has become very pop astrology now. So retrogression is when a planet seems to be in a backward motion. Apparently, it's not actually backward. It seems that way. So what this retrogression is literally piche hatna, backward jana. So what that means is that the planet is telling you कि जिस दिशा में आप जा रहे थे रुक जाओ अभी, थोड़ा पीछे हटो. Reflect on the matter. So retrograde is literally reflect on what you have done, reassess, reanalyze. So it's a time to go inward, rewind almost, and reflect on whatever this planet is teaching you. So if Mercury is retrograde, it makes you reflect on speech matters, but also what Mercury rules in your house. Because the houses have all their own rulers. It has a meaning that Mercury will rule of some houses. So that is basically telling you कि उस areas के बारे में सोचो. And at that time, sometimes people from your past will suddenly come back into your life. Chapters that you had left unfinished, that planet will bring back so that you can reflect on it, work on it, and complete that chapter. Whatever closures you haven't got, you can get it in that time. So that was an example of Mercury retrograde. Now when Venus is retrograde, all that time, all the more relationships come into focus. Whatever wrongs and hurts we have done to somebody in relationship, those people come back into our life and we get a time to reassess ourselves. फिर भी अगर नहीं सीखते हैं, then the planet goes direct again. Again it goes retrograde after several months or years. And you get a chance to learn again. And if you don't learn, then at the end there is a, God decides, okay, what have you done, what have you not done from the understanding that I had given you. So this is that. And the last concept is something called the composite chart. This is an entirely Western astrology concept. Western composite chart is a mixture of two people's chart. इसकी जन्म कुंडली and इसकी जन्म कुंडली को लेके एक जन्म कुंडली बनती है from the midpoints of all the planets in those two charts. This is called the composite chart, and this is also known as a relationship chart. And this chart can show दो लोग के बीच में क्या रिश्ता है, कैसे शुरू हुआ, कैसे बढ़ेगा, कौन से conflicts आएंगे, कब conflicts आएंगे, कैसे they can develop, work on it. So all of that. So we have a very rich subject over here on where people can understand themselves, how they work with each other, what the relationship is about. Yeah. Any questions?
Yeah. Excuse me.
Yes.
Like you said in the very beginning, your entire Janam Kundi is based on your actual arrival of time on Earth. But we would never know whether real time is there on the Janam Kundi or not. How do we have,
Yeah, so there are ways to find out. If the nurse has been recording accurately, it won't be that off, maybe 5 minutes here and there. And that can be narrowed down.
Is 5 minutes not going to change it very...
Yes, it will. It will. But there are ways to find out. So the astrologer can ask you questions. कि इस टाइम पे क्या हुआ था, and based on that, the astrologer can put 2 and 2 together and make out your actual time. 5 minutes is actually not much at all. There are astrologers who can, even for 36-48 hours, they can bring down to which day you were born, what time you were born.
Which means your kundli is reconstructed in the way?
The actual kundli is generated in that case, if the time is off. But itna nahi change hota hai. 5 minutes mein your basic chart may not change. Basic chart har 2 घंटे में change hota hai. Then there are sub-charts. Kuch sub-charts 45 minutes में change होंगे, कुछ sub-charts 9 minutes में change होंगे, different. So then as you go deeper into the sub-chart, there every minute also matters. But एक basic idea मिल जाती है.
Just on what he said, if you have a set of twins born, how come they are so different?
Because they are not born exactly at the same time.
Yeah, but maybe like you said 2 hours. You think they have 15 minutes.
Yeah, and that makes a lot of difference. It makes a difference. 1 minute and 2 minutes difference typically is not there that fast, but sometimes it is. Are they both alike? See, also, even if the Janam Kundli is very alike, even if, let's say, theoretically 1 minute apart is not that much, even then, what I talked about the various concepts, how each child will respond to each stimulus that is given to the child is an individual free will thing. So if, let's say, the chart shows that they should learn the karma of Saturn, learn to be disciplined, whether they will learn it or not, that depends on their own free will. Somebody might learn it, somebody might not learn it. Like this in psychology, we were talking about these various things, that somebody's father, if the father is a smoker and or an alcoholic, and there were a lot of problems in the family because of it, and the 2 children, one of them decided to not be an alcoholic. Never do that, because that caused so much of problems in the family, while the other child said he did it, so why can't I do it? So it's just difference in the way the person responds to that energy.
No, but the way of thinking should go in the same direction, because they are all in the same time.
No, free will exists. This is where in the chart, everything is not destined. You're given your destiny. What is your lessons? But whether you will learn the lesson or not, you're given the resources also. But whether you will do it or not is your free will. I know people who have very good charts, they should be making a lot of money, but they're not making money. They're just afraid because they have some fear also in the chart, some energy which is showing that they're afraid of something and they don't have enough confidence. They've chosen to just stay in that not being confident, and so rest has not happened. No, there is, so this planet will show the planet will show that the person has this energy of fear. The person also has this resource. But some people go toward the resource, some people go toward the fear. That is personal choice.
If it is written everything, then we just go according to our horoscope.
Everything is not written. That's what I'm saying. Everything is not dictated. There's free will even shown in the chart. Even in the horoscope, there are some houses that are free will houses. If you have planets in the house, that means that you have free will. You don't have to do that. Or you can do it. Every house also has a higher and a lower vibration. This concept that I want to say, like for Saturn, for example, the highest energy of Saturn will be discipline and structure. The lowest energy will be fear. If, let's say, you have Saturn sitting in the first house, you could be structured or disciplined because it's your own self, or you could be very fearful. Which way you will go, that is your personal choice. It will still be Saturn energy. So you will not be moving away from your destiny per se. You're still rotating in a certain circumference, but whose circumference may, how well you will do, it's your personal choice. Because that's why they say is janma mein jo planets paida hue hain based on some previous janmas. So next janma ke is janma pe dependent hoenge. So something we have to do in this janma. Free will is there.
Normally in a marital relationship before marriage, only milate hain ki bhai good mil jaye properly. In spite of whatever you do, we find too many divorces happening nowadays. So nowadays people say, yaar milane ki zarurat hi nahi hai. What do you have to say on that?
So this whole talk that I gave was based on that you can't just match horoscopes and sit back and say everything will happen automatically. This is where now this time has come where astrology and psychology have to be integrated. So you can, like, let's say वो जब मंगल मैंने example दिया 8th house में बैठा हुआ है, 2 मांगलिक लोगों को let's say शादी भी करा दी and they match each other, but that's not the end of it. the very first time they have a conflict, do they have the emotional maturity to be able to deal with the Mars energy? Do they even know what is Mars energy? Do they even understand what kind of people they are? Do they know how their partner responds when this kind of a conflict happens? How to talk to each other? Not to start screaming and shouting at each other and calling names, because no marriage survives with that. So it's marriage. Mars means only learning how to be assertive, not to be aggressive. So their lesson is about not being aggressive, learning how to be assertive. But if they are not assertive and they just keep screaming, shouting and say, "Hamare to janam kundli match kar rahi thi," that doesn't do anything. What it will do is that instead of ek din mein divorce, 5 saal mein divorce hoega. But hoega, you know. Or even if it doesn't happen, you will not like your partner anymore. How would you like somebody who talks to you like that?
In case of relationship, marriage के पहले मिलाना है तो कुंडली मिला दी. You want that psychology कैसे मिला सकते हैं? What you're saying?
This is why the reason why I'm here, to create this awareness amongst you all. That it's time that we don't just rely on astrology as a piece of paper, but as a very alive concept. This is growing in us to be able to understand ourselves and how to deal with other people. Those days are gone कि मम्मी के पल्लू के पीछे छुप के, you know, that is it. And in Indian society, how everything is laid down in roles and rules. बीवी आके पहले दिन ये करेगी, 10वें दिन पे ये रिचुअल होगा, इस पे ये होगा, and all of that. And behind these rituals we hide, and जिंदगी कट जाती है. And we don't even know your partner. And if the wife says something, the Indian male ego, okay, like oh my god. Why? It's Indian male ego is nothing special. There are other males also all over the world. They have their own egos too. But this has been created so that you don't have to face, you know, your own self. You don't have to be vulnerable and face your own insecurities. But now with so many divorces happening, it is time that everybody understands their own insecurities and how to deal with it. And this is shown in the horoscope. It's nothing to be scared of. It's got beautiful gifts. When they understand each other, then they can have a very rich relationship. They move on from relationship to relationship, but the same theme repeats in other relationships too. You know, if you have, let's say you have an anger issue, so to say, an anger issue. You'll have an anger issue with everybody. So you have to learn to deal with somebody. And you will attract only those people who will be able to help you with learning about how to deal with that.
In a lifespan of a person, how many times does a person goes through this sadisati?
Twice.
That depends on how long they live. Saturn repeats. Saturn is in one sign for 2.5 years. So it completes an entire cycle in 30 years.
That means
so it basically in about 22.5 years it should be back in.
Has to go through sadisati in 22 years or 23 years, whatever.
Yeah, I'm not sure if I'm telling you the exact maths, but basically, yeah, 2.5 years it stays in one sign. So.
For me, 10 years से मुझे यही बोला जा रहा है तेरी sadisati चल रही है कभी चालू और कभी खत्म होने वाली है. शादी हुई है.
रोटरी में आ गया
असल में छुटकारा थोड़ा ही होगा.
एक्चुअली इसी के लिए है, प्रोग्राम के लिए. ये आपका फर्स्ट नहीं है.
Matching of these symbols is only limited to the Indian calendar. What do you want to say about it?
Yeah, the concept that I talked about, synastry, this is done in Western astrology. Which planet of yours is matching with which planet, they do that. And this, yeah, they do that very much. And then the composite chart, mixing two people's horoscope, this is a very Western concept too. So this is there, in fact, they match all the planets. We match only the moon, they'll match every planet. Always. If you go on the internet, there'll be all kinds of, like, all girls are like, oh, his moon is with my Venus, and oh my, this is the right guy for me. The ones who are into astrology, yes. The ones who are into astrology.
Which sun sign is going to Saraswati and when it will get right now?
Libra. Saturn is in Libra right now. So people whose moon sign is Libra are going through Saraswati. And Saturn is basically when the Saturn is in the sign before. So that's Virgo. Same sign as the moon, that means Libra, and one sign after, so that's Scorpio. All these three are going through it right now. But Saraswati is not just, this is Saraswati, the 7.5 years, but even people who have this moon in the opposite sign, like Aries, moon Aries, they are also facing that because Saturn is opposite their moon. So this is why kabhi-kabhar it's more than 7.5 years. For various other reasons also Saturn is affecting. Jitna zyada affect kar raha अच्छा है उतनी ज़्यादा growth हो रही है.
मेरी तो चली गई है Saraswati, रोटरी का प्रेसिडेंट बन गया.
See, and what I said, the people who are good with discipline and structure, in fact, are rewarded and given recognition.
To be very frank, all the success that I have got is in in this period of Sadhasati only.
What?
All the success that I have got,
Yes.
the recognition.
In the period of
is the period-
Sadhasati.
But all the problems of health and legal issues I have also problems.
Also, so because Saturn, because in the horoscope, there's so many in the horoscope. There are so many houses. Saturn will be ruling a lot of different things for you. So किसी चीज का अच्छा दे सकता है, किसी चीज का बुरा दे सकता है. It's a very complex issue here.
Does cesarean section time apply?
Who is this?
That's
Yes.
me.
Yeah.
Yeah. Does cesarean section time apply to? I mean, does it work correctly? Because I am told that CS doesn't give you the right time of.
I can't hear. One second.
The cesarean section birth, the timing is not correct to draw a chart. Is that right?
Why not? The moment the child comes out of the mother's womb, whether it's cesarean or whether it's natural birth, because inside you're protected in a womb, the moment you're out of it, the very first moment you're out, by whichever means, that's your birth time.
Okay, and Sadhasati, how much before and after does it impact negatively?
Now, negative and positive all depends on what role Saturn is playing in your horoscope, how good it is for you, how challenging it is for you, how you have grown with Saturn. It is very varied. It's never always bad for anybody. Both. It depends. It both depends. Some people have a lot of free will in their horoscope. They can take it as a guiding factor. And some people don't have free will much. It's a very karmic horoscope they have. So for them it's a deciding factor. It can be both.
From what you're saying, if we have any problems because of our stars, according to your saying, we can handle it through psychology, through taking psychiatric consultations.
Not psychiatric. Psychiatric is basically medical and drugs and all that. Psychologist.
Like through your subconscious. But according to our Vedic, we generally go to the pandit and we get some pujas done and we feel कि उसका घर शांत हो गया. So what is actually the right thing?
Very good question. So I'll tell you how. Okay, so both एक ही काम कर रहे हैं. The planets, when we do the pujas, they don't affect our physical body. We anyway don't even have a physical body. We are all made up of molecules and all that, very far apart, right? Scientists will know that, so people who are science students. So when we get these graha pujas done, you know about auras and our energy body. It's our energy body that gets worked upon. And when the energy body gets worked upon, then even we start thinking differently. Ultimately, it starts to go down. There is our Karan Sharir, there is our Sushma Sharir and Sthula Sharir. Okay, that what they show also in our Vedantas and all that, right? So ultimately the energy bodies say ये remedies work करती हैं and they come down on your physical level, on your mind. Your mind is actually your energy body. Your mind is not even your physical body. Physical body में नहीं affect करती हैं. They affect your energy body, your mind. You start to think differently also. You might notice after pujas you start to feel differently. And this in turn will have an effect. Psychology is also saying the same thing. फर्क ये हो रहा है कि things are just happening and here you're consciously deciding that this is the issue and I'm going to work on it this way. So that's why in pujas you have to again and again get it done, because after your energy gets cleared, then again you accumulate because you haven't really understood how to think differently. So again you create that negativity. Again you have to get the puja done. But the psychologist is showing you in your conscious level once and for all what's the matter, and then you learn to deal with that.
I have a last question, which concerns everybody.
Yeah.
Party
I don't do political astrology. I'm more into individuals and growth. Politics if somebody really starts serving the country for a change, I'll be interested in his horoscope.
Even the stones that we are supposed to wear, do they affect also?
Yes, because they all affect the energy body. Ultimately, these all remedies are designed on the energy body. So if you wear a panna, this is for emerald, for Mercury, it will absorb Mercury's energies more, so I will have more of that around me. It's basically attracting that into your energy field.
Thank you so much. I have a few announcements here. First is, I invite our co-president Ramesh Daswani from Bombay Central. Some of the things which have been inspired this year are by this two clubs. One is Bombay Central and another is Nariman Point. Our Shan Se program came because of these guys who are doing every year fundraising. So, big hand to I also like to announce on the 4th of May, we are having couple gates. The May and June, there are a lot of programs. We are having a couple gates program on Sunday morning at the radio club.
Check the horoscopes.
My horoscope is all fine.
Same spouse? Same spouse?
Same spouse or we can just couple?
Couple of problems.
From 11 to 2 with the brunch, and there's going to be beer and wine to attract everybody. We'll have a great fun. So that's 4th of May. There is no meeting on the 1st of May because of holiday. There's no meeting on the 24th. The May planner will come to me. I'd like to call upon.
So can I ask, did this make sense to stop? Was it helpful? Thank you.
Dimple, before going through the formality of giving you a formal vote of thanks, I would like to first compliment you. In the short time available to you, you have given us so much insight into the complex field of astrology. It was so educative and so informative that it was a very enlightening lecture. We are almost equipped to talk on astrology now. At least we will feel more equipped to talk before our friends. People have not heard you than compared to us. It has also given us some insight into the fact that we have been linking astrology only with our future so far. We astrology में से मालूम पड़ेगा भी आगे क्या होने वाला है. What is our future? How much money we are going to make? What is success? But the relation between astrology and a persona of a person is some of the new concept which has really come to our knowledge. And the link between astrology and therapy is also something which has really given us some insight about the benefit of astrology. On behalf of Rotary Club of Bombay Peninsula, I thank you for giving us the time and accepting our invitation. Thank you.
Advice 25,